Just got back to our office. I own these two properties here. So the front one's a residential rental property. The back one's actually where our office is. It used to be a rental property. It's our office now. Um, there's a property just a couple houses over from here that I used to own and sold to a really good friend of mine. It's like his first investment property. He's been managing it himself for a couple years, but just had an experience with a bad tenant who he had to go through the eviction process. She left prior to the sheriff showing up. But has decided to let us take it over and manage it for him. He's rocking and rolling in building his business. And so like in his case, he's got one rental property, he's trying to grow a business. He's much better off focusing on growing his business and growing the revenue for his company than dealing with problem tenants or single rental properties. And so the conversation I have with him is just, hey, let us manage it for you. We're really good at it. We can deal with the brunt of most of those headaches that you're gonna come across. Even if there's, hopefully there's never another bad situation with a tenant like that, but even if there is, he's probably wasted a ton of time dealing with this over the last couple of months when he should have been focused on his business. When we pulled up, it looks like the painters are there working on the turnover, so we're gonna walk over and check it out and see how it looks. If you're getting into real estate investing and you know that eventually that's what you wanna do full time, or as a career, it's really valuable to do the management yourself because you're gonna learn the hard way how to do it, what works and what doesn't. If you want to build passive income and wealth through real estate investing, I think it's much more valuable to hire a good management company and let the management company deal with the management, and then focus on just generating more revenue or building income and saving money to invest more than it is dealing with tenants and toilets and stuff. I think that people are buying rental properties, they should really be looking through the lens of like building that long-term wealth. You want the property to cash flow and not be losing money. But if that wasn't the case, either you should put more money down or maybe you should have waited. It should, even when we buy properties, so I get management for free or a discount because we own the company, but we still underwrite the properties to make sure that they would cash flow. And if not, like we would want to put more money down or have more equity in it. Otherwise, maybe you shouldn't have rental properties. Kind of a funny story because I bought these three properties at the same time. At the time, that was a really big deal for me, and I had to put a lot of money down. And I think it was like, there's three properties, two of them had tenants in place and were like making good money. The other one was vacant, needed to be turned over. That's actually the one that our office is in. I literally think it was like a week and a half after I closed, the COVID shutdowns started. And so it was kind of a scary time for people that owned rental properties because it was like all these COVID shutdowns were happening. And then the front house there, the guys, like when I went and knocked on the door and tried to get their because it was a small landlord that had literally no information except for their names. But I asked for IDs, and I asked them for IDs, cell phone numbers, and then told them they were gonna have to start paying online. And I never heard from them again. When I went back to check again or knock on the door again, like a week later, they were gone. It's like they were selling weed. I found a bunch of huge Ziploc bags that looked like they had weed in it. So they were selling like huge quantities of pot out of that house, I think. And so as soon as I asked for their driver's license, they were gone. So I had two vacancies out of the three, and I was having to turn two of them over unexpectedly. And then in the meantime, all the COVID shut down and scariness was happening. So it was an interesting time. So the goal is to get it back in the condition it was in when the tenants moved in. And so in this case, this house was super nice. The front, it's disgusting right now. It looks filthy, but honestly, it just looks dirty to me. So probably some good pressure washing out here, and the front will be good. And then I haven't seen the inside yet, but my understanding was it was left in pretty gross condition. And so it'll probably need a deep cleaning and full touch-up paint or fresh paint on the inside throughout. Sheetrock patching and then full paint. Dirty people.
I think the scenes are okay, right? I'm just gonna do some touch-ups on.
Yeah, the ceilings aren't too bad. I don't know how the fucking walls are dirty that high up, but it's just dirty. People are just dirty, unfortunately. So the ceilings are all in good shape, so he's just gonna touch up the ceilings if needed, but he'll repaint all the walls and trim. And then it should be good to go. Like I said, a deep cleaning, then some minor repairs should be fine.
Do you know what the issue was with the tenant at this location?
Non-payment, yeah. And so that's one thing we find is when people, unfortunately, it's like when they get behind and they can't keep up with rent, it seems like when we find the house is left also in bad condition. So there seems to be a direct correlation with people that can't manage their finances that also can't seem to keep a clean household. Again, unfortunately, and so it's just that's why we've moved more towards when people are getting behind or really like just not able to manage their finances and pay on time. It's almost better just to get them out and get the unit turned over. Not only can you get somebody else in where you can get paid rent on time, but you're also less likely to have the house trashed. The one where our office is in right now is a good example. That house was in really good shape. We had a tenant in there. I mean, it was constantly every month late and like small little payments all month. And then finally, when they ended up leaving, they left the house a disaster. We ended up having to remodel the whole house. Like we should have just got them out when we had the chance. But again, this one it'll be pressure washing probably on the outside and yard work. Then on the inside it'll be all new kind of paint and some minor repairs. And it'll be looking really fresh and good to go and get another tenant in here. It's on a busy ass street, so it'll be a little bit harder to rent up this time around. I think probably early next year, the state's actually going to come in and expand the road a little bit, and they're going to come in, put a brand new street and cul-de-sac behind this house. And so when they put that cul-de-sac behind this house with the rear entry here, I think it'll actually make it a desirable little rental. I'd even suggest having him like fence off what is the front yard now, make that the backyard, and then make the front of the house kind of back here.
We both know a guy yesterday who was telling us they have a client who pays every month, but they're always like 10 days late. So for you would, it's like, to me, to a guy like me, it's like I would be scared to lose that rental income. To you, you'd get those people out?
No, we wouldn't. We would collect it. We unfortunately have tenants to pay late like that every month. It's just my suspicion is that when that tenant does leave, it's going to be left in rougher condition than some of the other ones. Where it becomes an issue is when they're getting so far behind that the eviction process gets started. In my opinion, at that point, we almost never go back. There's been a few exceptions where we've had somebody that had a real reason why they were late. We had to start the eviction process per our policy and the way we handle stuff, but they were actually they communicated the issue when they were going to get caught up, and then they paid in full plus any like legal fees that we'd incurred up to date, and then we'll allow them to stay. But usually once we have a tenant that's getting so far behind, we have to start that process. We're going to continue with that process and have them leave. We don't want to keep them.
I'm always amazed sometimes. I would not purchase a home to live in right off of a busy road like this, but is it different for rentals?
If the rental's priced accordingly, people will be okay with the busy street. But it's definitely like this rental house is going to get maybe $100 less than one that would be a block behind here, for example. And so I think if it's priced fairly, I think people are okay with it. I personally wouldn't want to live on this busy of a street, especially with little kids. Again, maybe if this was my backyard, my front yard was on the cul-de-sac, it wouldn't bother me as much, that'll be the case here at some point. But again, I own this for a while, and he's owned it for several years now. It's never really had an issue leasing up. The one thing that's in favor of this house is it's a smaller house in an amazing part of town. So the rent price for this part of town is actually very affordable. So if you want to be on this side of town with these really good, like this has one of the best elementary schools in Little Rock, there's not a lot of places that you can rent a house in this part of West Little Rock for under $2,000 a month. So I think that's the main thing that this one has going for it. You see the painter's truck? Makes me worried that we're paying him too much on these turnovers. I'm just kidding. He's a really good friend of mine. He's worked for us forever, but I always like to give him a hard time because he's got such a nice truck. If you're just getting started and you're very interested in it, you want to try to manage yourself for a while, I think it's a great way to learn. I just think you need to be realistic about your bandwidth and if it's the best use of your time. And so if you're in a spot where you can earn more, like as a business owner or sales, commission, or even move up and work, I personally think if you're just going to have a couple of them, you're better off having a third-party management company manage for you, so you can focus on what's important. If you're just starting out and you want to try it, I say try it for a little bit, but if it starts to become a headache or take time away from what you're doing, I don't think you should stop investing in real estate or sell your rental properties. I think you just bring in a professional management company and let them manage for you. If you're interested in, if you're here in Central Arkansas, you're interested in investing here in Central Arkansas, and you need help either with something like new construction, build to rent, rental properties, and or third-party property management, we'd love to talk to you. And so feel free to reach out through a message. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more information on real estate investing.